the matter is handled with the IRS and is done with. On the gun charge, typically the federal government is not charging individual charges like this. It's usually some other accompanying violent crime or other crime. So in that regard, he's willing to allow that charge or agree to allow that charge to be filed against him, not entering a plea on that if he does not get into trouble over the course of the next few years, assuming a federal judge, and again, we have to emphasize, assuming a federal judge approves this deal, then that gun charge would later be dropped.
And I want to bring in ABC senior congressional correspondent Rachel Scott with some of the politics here. Rachel, no doubt there will be large reactions to this from Washington on both sides of the aisle. What are you watching for?
Well, look, Diane, make no mistake about it. House Republicans have made this a #1 priority since the first initial day of the new Congress. They have centered their entire push around investigating not only President Biden, but also his family, specifically Hunter Biden. They have held hearings on this around his business dealings, and so they will likely not be satisfied by this deal, and we will likely only see the outrage start to grow as this starts to ripple throughout Capitol Hill. Lawmakers are expected to come back here to Capitol Hill later this afternoon. And so while the federal investigation appears to be wrapping up here, you can only expect the outcry from House Republicans to only increase as they try to demand more answers to see how this all played out behind the scenes. And of course, all of this is taking place against the backdrop of the 2024 presidential election, which is already starting to heat up. And we have seen Republicans make the case that they believe that the justice system is being weaponized, Diane.
So, Aaron, what's next? What happens now?
At some point, Diane, Hunter Biden's going to have to appear in federal court in Wilmington, Delaware, and a judge is going to have to sign off on this tentative agreement to resolve these charges, putting him effectively on probation for a couple of years, but avoiding going to prison over these tax and this gun charge. So at some point, we will see Hunter Biden in all likelihood in court. But otherwise, as far as his team is concerned, this matter is largely resolved. The politics, of course, are yet to come, but from a legal matter, it appears that Hunter Biden is going to be on probation, meaning if he keeps his nose clean for the next couple of years, these charges are going to be resolved.
I want to bring in our political director, Rick Klein, for some final thoughts here. Rick, given we are entering an election year here, what do you think the impact is of this deal?
I'm hearing from Republicans already saying two-tier justice system. They're equating the charges brought against Donald Trump with the lack thereof and the lack of accountability that they see in the Hunter Biden case, even though the cases are entirely different. It is striking to me. There was a poll from Fox News a couple months ago, Diane, that had almost as many people thinking that Hunter Biden committed the crime as think Donald Trump committed the crime out of that Manhattan case. Now, of course, Hunter Biden is not the one running for office. His father is. There are still pretty extensive efforts by Republicans on Capitol Hill and on the campaign trail to try to tie Joe Biden to his son Hunter through the business deals. But because they aren't in here, that doesn't mean it's going to go away. I'd anticipate that the Republican candidates are going to continue to make Hunter Biden a centerpiece of the argument against Joe Biden. And keep in mind, Joe Biden also has some lower tier Democratic challengers, primary challengers, some of whom have at least hinted around the edges around Hunter Biden. I'm interested to see if any of them pick that up when so many Democrats are rallying behind the president. This has always been something of a political liability for President Biden.
John, how big of a challenge is this for President Biden now?
Well, it's an enormous challenge given the Trump cases because you have these highly consequential prosecutions of Donald Trump, an indictment in the documents case and a continued investigation in the January 6th case. And the challenge for the Biden Justice Department and for President Biden is to reassure particularly independents and Republicans in this country that there is not an unequal system of justice, that this is not a case of Donald Trump being prosecuted, being investigated because he is a political opponent of Joe Biden, but because he has done something wrong. And so the test case will be, was this a legitimate, serious investigation of Hunter Biden? I think it is notable that you do have these guilty pleas here, 2 misdemeanors and a felony charge, a plea deal. It shows that the Biden Justice Department did bring a case against Hunter Biden. But the challenge here is Republicans are going to say that they didn't investigate the far more serious allegations sufficiently.
Terry, I want to bring in our senior national correspondent, Terry Moran, for just some final thoughts here. Terry, when you look back historically, how significant is this day?
It's big. Look, there have been a lot of relatives of presidents who have tried essentially to make money off of that relationship. That's what Hunter Biden stands accused of in the largest sense. What this indictment is are very specific violations of the law. A United States attorney for 5 years looked at this one individual. You don't want to be on the receiving end of that kind of scrutiny. And this is what it results. Misdemeanor tax charges and essentially a gun charge that is at the minor level. The question is the one that Pierre Thomas has asked, is this what the only thing that the U.S. attorney in Delaware, appointed by President Trump, was looking at? Over the course of 5 years, U.S. attorneys have a tendency to look wherever there might be wrongdoing, which then leaves the question for Republicans and Democrats and the country. Maybe there's a difference between what's legal and what's right. Hunter Biden may escape legal accountability, as might the president. The question before the country now is, was it wise for Joe Biden, when he was vice president, to be the Obama administration's point person on Ukraine when his son was buck-raking off his dad's name in that country? And those are the relationships also in China that the Republicans will continue to scrutinize and that will have political ramifications. But right now, these charges have got to be disappointing to Republicans who are looking for more out of Delaware.
So again, I just want to reiterate, ABC News is learning that Hunter Biden, the president's son, has reached an agreement to plead guilty to tax charges and a gun charge. The deal will likely involve no jail time, but this is, of course, a developing story. We will continue to watch it for you. Right now, we'll return you to your regular programming. For some, that's Good Morning America. And our coverage, of course, will continue on ABC News Live and abcnews.com. And we will have a full wrap-up on World News Tonight with David Muir. I'm Diane Macedo. Have a good day. Have a good day.
This has been a special report from ABC News.